Okay, so tomorrow is supposed to be the Breath of the Wild stream, and I'm going to try to make Link's tunic here. I'm not going to add, the belts or, that brown arm thing, but I will try to do at least the blue tunic, the white, undershirt, that, whatever he has on his, forearms here, and then the gloves as well. So, I already have the blue shirt here, to go with that. I also have the undershirt, which will be, painted, and then those will go right from my hand. And then these are like little pants. This I'll actually put on my forearms like this, paint them, and it should look like that thing. Okay, so the first thing, I think I'm gonna have to cut this top flap thing here like I did with the green tunic over there, Link's normal tunic. And then it should look like this. So I'm gonna cut it and see what happens. Maybe I'm also gonna remove the button. I used a pencil here, right there, and kind of like cut it out like that. And then I also, before, I printed out like this, like the sword right here, the design that goes on the front, and kind of use that as well. So I'm gonna try to cut this out, and then afterwards put like maybe like strings or something, like an X, because Link over here, I don't know if you can see, it might be kind of hard, but over here he has like this these laces or something, holding it together. So this was taking 10 years. I tried cutting it with the scissors, and I got like this, but I'm gonna use the X-Acto knife and kind of get a more precise cut over here. I have this under a wood, and I'm not sure if you see, but from the Metroid video I made, showing how I actually made this. But I'm gonna try to do that, and I'll be back after I have this cut. And I actually found an easier way. It took 10 years to try and do it, with the X-Acto knife here. So what I did, I actually forgot, but I have this thing here. It's a little razor thing. I made it a million times easier. So, it may look a little off-center and stuff, but when I put it on, it should be swell. And now all I have to fix, though, is this triangle piece right here, It's a little crooked and uneven, you see that? So I think I'm gonna cut, like, a little more here. Or, make it go a little bit lower like this, like that. And then here, I'm gonna, sew this, and then see how that goes. And then afterwards, I'll put yarn, like an X, maybe once or twice. To give it, that look of those laces that Link has on his tunic. Alright, so next I printed out, like I showed you before, the symbol, that Link wears right there, in front on his tunic. This one was too small, so on the computer over there, I actually resized it, and made it a little bigger, like this, And as you see, the one I found here, it actually had like these, it kind of had it like going like this, like a curve. But I kind of changed that myself to make it go, kind of straight. Because the way I cut it, kind of makes it look like that, you see? It's not going like a curve, but it's like kind of like a little slanted going down and then straight that way. So, I think this way would work best. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this with the X-Acto knife here. Like the insides, cut that out. I'm going to put it on here. This is actually 2 pieces of paper, I'm gonna tape it on here and then see how that works, and then I'll print the other ones as well, the other pieces and shapes, and then I'll start painting. The shirt has been cut, as you can see, and before I cut it I actually used tape, clear tape, and put it around these edges, and then I cut it, so hopefully that way when I paint it, the paint doesn't like bleed through and go on any areas you don't want to. With the Wind Waker shirt that I made, over here, I completely forgot, but the lobster design that I made, I did something similar, except I used that special, like picture paper, so it was a bit harder, like the page was harder, and that way, I was able to print without any difficulties. So I completely forgot about that, and instead, printed it on here. But this is what it looks like. Hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll actually paint, on the insides here. That's why I made the holes. This I forgot, but I'll cut the triangles as well, and then the little piece will be like this. And then down here, you see it's gonna be something like that. See how huge it is compared to this? This was that one would have been completely tiny, so I'm glad I kind of resized it. And then the bottom part right here that Link has on the tunic, that, like, I don't know what that is, that crotch area, that thing, that'll most likely be like something like that. So I think the size is perfect, So right now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to fix or finish this triangles, and then I'm gonna, cut this a little bit. Maybe I kind of changed my mind. I might cut this all the way down here actually, like the triangle like this, and then back up here. Okay, so as you can see, I cut it a little lower like that, and I think that looks a lot better, just like, Link's tunic right there. And then right there at the top, it's kind of hard to see, but he actually has like a lacing or something, right above there. So what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna make like 2 X's, 2 or 1, right here like this, out of this yarn, this blue yarn. It's gonna look something like this or something, like coming from one side to the other. We'll see. I was gonna use a shoelace, but I don't have a shoelace. I have that. I'll try also to, you see there's like a little piece here, I have to use a pin, it's kind of flapping here. I'm gonna use like a sewing machine and like all the way up, and then I'm gonna also try to flap this, or flip it like that on the inside, and then all the way around as well, and we'll see how that works. Right now I'm gonna try to paint this, this undershirt thing, and then we'll see how that works, with the green and red paint. I think it's orange. Some show orange, some show red. That one looks like it's kind of, orange. So I'm gonna use orange paint and also green. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna, you don't need to really outline anything. I'm just gonna make, rectangles going like this, orange all the way around, as well as on the back too. And then in between, I'm just gonna make, like green lines. How it shows over there on the picture. And then on the bottom as well, like little dots or something. And then along the top like that too. So I'll be back and I shall show you how that went. So the orange is finished, on this side. Now I'm gonna add the little green stuff. I'm not sure if I wanna do light green or dark green, Maybe I'll do, I don't know, because over here it looks, dark green over there. So I might do that, maybe, I don't know. Like dark green for these, and then light green for the top, like that. Maybe, and then also the bottom line. Or, I'm thinking darker green for the middle, dark green for this, and then light green for the top. Or maybe just one color, to do it all. But, I'll try to finish that, and then I'll be right back with the results. As you can see, I have painted, everything is swell. I went with the light green, and I think it looks a lot better, So, here's the orange, here's the dark green, as you can see, and then the light green is right there. Light green, the way I did it, is you see it from the close-up, every time I have one of those green lines, the separation lines, I put just a dot, so it kind of looks like an eye, And then I did the same thing as I did from here, this, bottom part, except up here with the green lines, Only thing I would kind of fix was this. I wish this side, or at least this one, I kind of, could turn it a little bit. But, with, look at it, it's kind of derpy. But it's fine. With the tunic on, you'll only see, I think, about like, from here to like here, like this middle part right there. So, right now, I'm gonna let this dry. And then I'm going to work on this. Oop, don't want to put that on there. I'm gonna work on this arm thing right now. Alright, so I have the, the undershirt thing, drying over there. Next part will be this. The things on the arms, I don't even know what you call those. But, I have these pants here from, like, I guess from the toddlers or something. See these tiny little pants over here? So, the plan is, I can do either 2 things. I can either put the hand, this way. Hold on. I can put it like this, and kind of cut, the other side so I have for both hands. Or, and I'll remove that bow. I kind of like it. I don't know. It looks kind of cheesy though. But I can also do like this. Or flip it the other way. And have the arm going like this. Either way, I don't think it would really matter. Because the design is basically just the same pattern, repeating itself over and over again. And the only difference would be, instead of going down, Link's hand like that, it would be going up. So like that, So it doesn't really matter. But, if I do put it this way, with the bow, facing me, it's a little smaller on this side and kind of holds, in place. I did this, I cut it and then I can open it like that, you see? And so tomorrow, or when I do this tomorrow, I'm gonna sew it together and my hand's gonna be inside on the top over here, which is gonna be by, my arm over here where the chain is. I put little, like battle scars and, made it kind of, look like it's damaged and stuff, which is really cool. I did the same with both. And I also removed the bow. It's actually right over here, as you can see. So right now I'm going to paint the designs on here, and then let it dry, and then we're going to go to the shirt, the tunic. Okay, so exactly 10 years later, like exactly, I swear, 10 years later, took like a while to paint this, but I have it ready. Look at that. Looks just like that, I decided to do it like this, have like 1, 2, and then 3, and then when you combine it, it'll be 4 squares, and I changed them up so it's not, similar, but they're like kind of flipped backwards, you see that? And then when you close it, it should, make this, what Link has on his arm over there, you see? Right there. So hopefully that works. This material is kind of weird, the pants, so I hope it doesn't, like come off or anything. And I decided to use the light green, because it looks a lot better than the dark one, especially on this, And also, we used the dark green on the undershirt thing, so I wanted to, to have this as light green. Now that this is finished, I'm gonna go make my hand, from a brown shirt. So for Link's gloves, I have this old shirt here, which I plan to use in the future, maybe for like future streams, for like Link to the Past or something, but only this part, like the long sleeves, because this is actually, I think, like a toddler shirt or something, so it only fits, to my stomach. But I put my hand here, like that, and then I took the red marker here and traced it around, so the glove will be like this, and then I'm gonna cut it a bit, maybe like half an inch, or maybe an inch, I don't know, maybe like half an inch bigger, around these, like red marks. And so that way, it should give enough room, when I'm sewing it together, because there's going to be 4 pieces in total, 2 for each, hand. And hopefully that works. You see, I cut it out, and it looks like this, That's what it should look like when it's all sewn together. I also kept the bottom part like that. It, looks kind of cool. But as you see, I had the markers, on the outside. So the other ones, I'm going to make sure to flip over before I do that, Otherwise, I don't get that, fanciness over here. And also another thing, instead of, half an inch or 1 inch bigger, I have to make it maybe like 2 inches or something bigger. Because, watch. If I put this glove on, well, I can't really put it on, but you know what I mean. If I put it on here, imagine the glove like that, right? Like that. It's gonna wrap around my fingers, but it needs more space, especially around, like this part, like my wrist and stuff. I think I have to make, the bottom half a little bit, more extra, like, flappage. Because I'm not sure how you're going to be able to, sew that together, because it only makes it less than halfway up, up my finger, So I have to make the other ones a little bit longer. So I'm going to try doing that, and then we'll be right back. Here's the one glove. Hold on. Here's the original glove I used. And then I just kind of made like a huge outline. Kind of. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. I'm going to cut it out now. And then I'm going to maybe like try to put it together, maybe, just like little pins or something, and see how that works. Both gloves are finished. As you see, all 4 sides. Here's the left one, here's the right one. And then when it's sewn, it's going to be like brrrr, and then I'm going to flip it over, like inside out, and then I'll have the clean side, and then all the stuff that's written here, left and right, that's going to be on the inside. So hopefully this works. I'm not sure if it will. If it doesn't, I have a little more, here, or I'll just go without the gloves. If it does, that'll be awesome, and I'm glad that I, thought of the extra space. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to, fit the glove in my hand. And then another thing I did was on the bigger glove, the big version here, I actually cut the middle a little bit more, than the smaller version. You see that? So hopefully everything works and it goes together like that. With this done though, with the glove finished, I have one more thing to do, and that is painting the actual, sword and designs on the blue tunic. It's not finished yet, but I put it together. Look at this, and it looks so cool. Here's what the glove would look like, with the thing when it's sewn, And then there's the, undershirt right there. Then there's the tunic. It'd be, painted and stuff. And then there's that, what it looks like from underneath when it's dry. That looks so cool. Look at it. Look at this. It is so awesome. Oh! So hopefully tomorrow, I hope everything works. Because this is really cool. This is really, really cool. And I hope it works, and then, we have it all ready for the stream. Because I'm excited for this game. It's going to be awesome. Here's the underneath. The cardboard was underneath the thing here when it was drying. So you see how much, if you didn't put cardboard, it'd be on the other side. Which, maybe if I would have done that, it would have, saved some time to go, to the back. But right now, I'm going to paint the tunic here. I actually printed out this as well. You see? This is actually the crotch area I was talking about earlier. So it's going to go like right here, that design. And I'm going to just do the front shirt. Or front side. Front side, all it has is this. The stuff on the corner here, on the, arm. And then that sword right here. I'm only going to do the front side right now. And then in the future, I'll do the back. Because, since we're playing this on the stream, the back doesn't really, it's not important. Because all you're going to see is this. So, I'm going to do the, painting. And it's going to be the same technique as in the back. So let's get to it, shall we? So it took a few hours to do this. It's actually 7 a.m. right now, But I taped everything, and this is what it's going to look like, in final. All the stuff in between here is going to be white, everything in here. All of that, it's going to look so cool when it's done. And so I'm going to paint it right now. Taping everything, look at this. As I showed, I was taping everything. So it like sits still and stuff. Every single piece over here is taped. And I'm gonna paint it, and hopefully the paint doesn't like seep through. And this actually works, because I wasn't expecting this to take 10 years, the tape. But I'm gonna go paint it now, and then later in a few hours, once everything is dry, that stuff, the shirt and the arm things, and the other one, I'm gonna sew it together. And then we're gonna have the stream ready. So we'll be right back. It's all painted, but if you look closely, the paint's not white. It's kind of, light blue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go downstairs and get the hair dryer, dry everything, and then apply another coat of the white paint. It's fabric paint, so it should, stay and stuff. And then after another coat, hopefully, it gets lighter. That's what I did with this one right here. The Wind Waker shirt, lobster. And then on the edges, you probably can't see it, but I used this Sharpie to kind of, fix a few of the messes and stuff. So I probably have to do that with here too. But in the future, if I ever, make like a shirt or something designed like this again, I'm probably going to try, instead of using paper, I'm going to maybe try to use like tape. Get the tape on here so it sticks instead of the paper, if that makes sense. Because that way, I've noticed up there I used tape, and it seems like, it doesn't go through the thing. Whereas the paper, if I were to lift it, probably, there's some paint spilling through. If not, then I did a swell job. I'm going to go air dry this, and then apply another coat, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And then I painted it one more time just now, second coat here. And as you can see, it's a lot brighter. Like it's, if you go even closer, it's really white. It kind of, resembles the paper. If anything, I might do one more when I wake up, I'm going to go to sleep now. And then when I wake up, everything should dry. And I'm going to see what it looks like when I, put it all together. We started with this. You see, gloves here. So I think we're losing her. We're going crazy. Tomato. And we have this glove has worked like a charm. Sewing machine, a little flaps, you know, a little flappy, and now the other one. I'll show you how I did that.
Nie zabudź, jak to będzie auto, nie nagrywaj.
Okay, one glove, two glove. Okay, and first you have here, you see, right here, okay, and then you fold. You fold.
Yeah, biuro fokacji.
Thank you, like this. And then when you put on the machine, you have like this. And then you flip it over, and you have like the glove, like this. Beautiful.
Na to, że będzie musiała oprawować, kiedy to będzie ciabi. I'm skinny and pretty. Na co se moc broken glasses, ty nie możesz za to. Ja nie, ja widzę dobre, ty widzisz źle.
The shirt is still over there drying, or it's dry, but you know, I'm gonna do another coat, you know, right after this. But I just wanted to, you know, look at it, you know, look. Imagine, you know, this shirt, you know, it's the same color and everything, except, you know, with the Breath of the Wild design. But look at this. Gloves are finished. So are these arm things, you know, and then the white undershirt goes here. And it's gonna be like this, you know, except, you know, the sword here and stuff, you know. Other side too. And then here's the design right there. That is so cool. Look at this. And then maybe, if anything, I can try also, I have from the stream, the, what is it called? Twilight Princess stream, somewhere over here. I also have those belts, you know, and I might just, you know, try to put them on and see what it looks like, you know. But look at that. Isn't that so cool? Look at this. That is so cool how it worked so well. Look at that. And I'm thinking maybe I'll, you know, because I'm probably going to review Breath of the Wild, or make like a video. So I think, you know, it'll be kind of funny, an idea, if I walk into the store, you know, like this, and do the thing, you know, when I get the game or whatever. I think that'd be cool. But, we shall be right back. I'm going to paint this one more time, you know. I thought might as well. We already painted it twice, and you can see it's basically, you know, it's white, you know, like the paint, but you can still see a little, you know, just a little bit of blue, you know, it's kind of like light blue, very light blue. So after I paint it one more time, it should, you know, be completely like white and stuff. And I was like, I might as well do it now before I remove all this, you know, the thing here. And then after I'm finished with that, I'll do the back side, because today the internet's still not here, and so, you know, I have another day or, you know, two. I'm not sure when it's coming back, so I might as well just work on this. Afterwards, you know, I'll flip it over, and I'll do the design on there, you know, as well. And I think over here, I'm gonna, you know, make 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put the, like, shoelaces through it, like an X, you know. And I'm thinking maybe I'll do one more thing, if it's possible. I'll try to, like, fold the sides a little bit down like this, and kind of sew it as well, so it gives it, you know, like a nice little, I don't know, like a look. But if not, you know, that's going to be the shirt right there. It's been painted a 3rd coat, and the last coat, you know, I'm not going to do it again, but it looks a lot brighter here, you know, like the paint and stuff, and it's really white. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to go finish Oracle of Ages, you know, leave off on the final boss, and then, you know, save the rest for the stream. But here's the shirt, ladies and tits. And fun fact, secret surprise here, Pap's actually joining us for the Breath of the Wild stream. So, what I'm gonna do, maybe I'll beat Oracle of Ages right now, or, you know, save it for later, but I'm planning to actually make a Tingle outfit for him. At least a hat, because the rest you can kind of, you know, all you need is a shirt and, like, red on these, but at least a hat, and then he'll be able to join us as well. So as you can see, you know, It looks pretty awesome without, all that paper. I moved it on the side. Look at that. That's the paint. I applied it 3 times, 3 coats of paint, 3 layers of the same fabric paint, and it turned out really cool. It also, it doesn't look like blue or anything. It's, completely white, as you can see. Now, the thing I have to do, you see on the edges, there's like little pieces of paper stuck on it. So I'm going to remove all of that from the entire thing, the edges over here. See, like these little pieces of paper? I'm going to remove that, and then I'll use a either dark blue or light blue Sharpie and go around the edges to make, the paint look, sharp and crisp instead of, a little bumpy from, leaking out. And then once I'm done, I'll come back and show you the final result of the tunic here. I'm almost finished here, with the outlining. It took 1,000 years, I swear. Like many hours, probably the hardest thing, aside from, I guess, the painting and that tape. This has taken 10 years, but I wanted to show a little difference, The only things I have left are, these things here. But as you can see, here's the finished part. Up close, you can easily tell that it was like outlined. What I did, I used these Sharpies. This fat one, I don't know if you can see that. That's what it's called. The fat one, I used, to actually make the outlines like this, kind of get like the easier, mistakes and stuff, kind of removed. And I used these colors because they were, closest resembling the shirt. And then this one, the skinny one, right here, the Sharpie, I went in, one at a time and kind of like all the little dots, all the white dots that kind of, lined out of place. I kind of, try to fill them in like that. And so I went around the entire shirt, I'll show it, when it's completely finished. But it looks like that, kind of, If you go farther, it's very hard to tell, and it kind of gives it a nice, awesome, like shadow look. And then here is what I started with, you see? I kind of like the, just having it like this, like the paint. But like I said before, all the, kind of like paper and stuff sticking on the sides, and all the little mistakes or whatever, like the paint that kind of seeped through. I don't like that at all. But you see this? It's all dry and it's completely white. So that's why I'd recommend doing, at least 3 coats of the paint, and then you get like this. And it looks really cool. So I'm gonna go finish this, and then I'll show I'll show the complete like shirt, what it looks like. Because even though it's taking 10,000 years to do, I'm quite proud of this. And then sometimes in the future, I'll actually do the back and stuff, The back shouldn't be, as difficult or time consuming because there's, a lot less stuff happening there, but still. I have completed it. Took 10 years, but I did it. And then I went through once again, just to check and stuff. On the other side, across the edges and stuff, with the Sharpie. But I think it turned out very awesome. See that? Look at that. Isn't that cool? Look at that. And then I have, all the way up here, the outlines and everything. Here's the sleeves and stuff, you see? These triangles, I made a little, see that outline? A little thicker because the paper kind of got stuck in there, opposed to these. But overall, I think it turned awesome. And then when I do the back side, this is going to connect. See that? Because right now there's nothing on the other side. But it's supposed to be like a diamond, and connect with that, like that. And then the bottom, as you can see, turned out awesome as well. Here, the insides I actually colored entirely with the Sharpie. So it might be a little darker. But overall, it looks really cool. Now what I'm going to do, I'm thinking of cutting off this flap here, just like completely removing it. And hopefully that works. And then that way, that like V thing here will fit. I hope this works. I don't want to mess anything up. And then afterwards, over here, I actually plan on cutting on both sides, left and right over here. About, I think, I'm not sure, hold on. About 9 inches, right there. About 9 inches, right about, maybe like right here. Because Link, on the side he actually has like a, this is kind of open, so I'm gonna cut this, you know, right in the middle. And the cool thing is, if you look on the side of the shirt, where is it? Over here, it already has like a cut thing, you know. So I'm gonna do that all the way up here, and then maybe, I don't know if it's possible, but I'll try to sew, you know, like a little fancy design like this up here. So I'm gonna do that, and then the shirt is complete. Like I said, the back side right now, there's nothing on the back. It's just, you know, completely blue and stuff, you know. So in the future, I'll also do that. And it'll be exactly the same process, you know. Printing out the design on the computer, taping it all, you know, and then painting 3 layers here. It's gonna look something like this, right there. As you see, the front is a lot more, you know, detailed. And then the back is kind of just, you know, that bottom thing. A Triforce up there. And then, you know, those 2 things on the side. And as you can see, the shirt is finished, it's completely done, and I have it on. You see, this is cut too. Look at that on the sides, you know, and the other one too. So I think I'm going to sew it together as well, like that, you know, and a little bit here, and then here as well. But overall, it looks pretty cool, you know, look at that. Quite a lot of work. But what is this? Who is this over here? Is that a Peppy Tea? A wild Peppy Tea? What is
Peppy Tea here?
What does Peppy Tea have?
Got a packet for you right here.
Packet? What is what's
empty.
That? Empty? Why is it empty?
Just for you. Because it's right there.
Oh, what is this? Whoa, look at that. Whoa, right on time too. Look at that. Hold this. Let's show how
What am I
huge
holding?
this is.
Put it to your face.
Look at this. Ladies and tits.
It's a little bright in the window, but let's not worry about that.
How about that?
Yeah, it's
Look
perfect.
at the ginormous post over here. Oh yeah, $5 right here.
Quality stuff right here.
And
Gotta get in
quality
there.
paper.
Look at it.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that
I was
nose.
looking for I was looking for like the entire picture except sideways.
Yeah.
You know, like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it anywhere. So
You should get the map.
Huh?
You should get the map.
Oh, that'd be cool. If it was like on the back,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. But yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'll put that right. Replace probably the Skyward Sword with that or something.
Gorgeous. And then you got my
That's
penguins,
cool.
of course.
Of course, Pippi Penguins. You can't go
Over
wrong
there
with
too.
them.
Yeah.
The turtles.
Turtles, penguins, dinosaurs, all around.
Of course, of course.
Of course.
And now that this is finished, you know, Pippi over here is gonna turn into Tingle. So we're gonna work on that little hat and see how that works. Alright.
Disclaimer.
Pippi.
I'm not in my undies. I swear. Yeah, I'm not in my undies. I swear.
Set it up. And then for this over here, you see I actually put the strings inside. The way I did it, I cut, you know, 4 holes right here. Just made like an X, you know, for a hole. I took that yarn, I had the blue yarn, and I put about maybe like, you know, the size of my index finger here, you know, like a string. Maybe twice that long, maybe 3 times. I don't remember. I think it was like twice as long. And then I kind of just, you know, put it through this hole and then down through the bottom one, you know, the opposite like this. And I did it for both. I put buttons here because I thought it'd be a little more secure, but you don't really need it, you know. You can just tie it, you know, together. That would have, you know, been exactly the same. But that's how I did it. And then basically everything is finished right here, you know. As you can see, if anything, I'll go to the flea market or, you know, the thrift store and get some pants maybe if I can find it, you know. I'm at the thrift store again, as you see. I'm picking out Tingle's thing, you know. I'm looking for a shiny thing like this, you know. This will be probably for the undies, you know, this red, you know, nice turtle here. And then I'm looking for a similar like green, you know. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I did with Link's tunic and stuff. I went in here, picked out all the materials, and then, you know, got it for like $1 or something, and then created what you saw. And then on the back, I might use this for Link's, you know, pants. You know, it's the same color and everything. So I'm gonna see, I'm not sure. And then the stream is ready too, and we're about to begin. So, ladies and turds.
Some Peppy Tea setup, of course.
Here's Pippi Tea, of course. Nobody knows that Pippi Tea is gonna be Tingle here either. We have the poster, which I might, you know, actually put in the back here. But, ladies and turds, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, you know, the behind the scenes here. One more thing I wanted to show. The best part of these undies, I didn't know this when getting them, but you know, they're the same color as the Link has and stuff. But look at this. This is the best part, you know, for when the ladies are around. It's like, ladies, like, what is it, Chaco? That'll
ladies.
Oh my. How embarrassing.
The Grinch.
Ooh.
It's not the only thing he stole. You're hot too, baby. Smooth. Oh yeah, good teeth. Alright, but that's it. Look at how they look though without like ginormous. Like,
One size fits all.
you can probably sleep in this sleeping bag.
Yeah, I can sleep in this.
Thanks for watching.
See you next time. Shake it, Papa, shake it. Oh yeah. Oh, keep going.
Cut the tape. Cut the tape. It's too much.